you can remove a capsular axis and so on. But what has been shown is also, we must keep in mind, and I have no financial interest, I didn't do the study, but the study you referred showed on one hand manual, and they compared homogeneity and the tags on electron microscopy. All of these looked quite good clinically and under a high light microscope. But on a scanning microscope, the manual was outstanding. Compared to the three other machines that said, LensX by Alcon, the Optomedica, which is done by AMO, and Bausch & Lomb, the Alcon LensX was the closest to the manual compared to the other two. But this is under scanning microscope. For clinicians, as Gaurav has been saying, it is good enough, it is strong enough. I'm not a propaganda of femtosecond, so continue enjoying manual and please do that. I mean, femtosecond is bloody expensive. I have it and I know it too well. Okay? So that's how it is. I'm sorry the quality, somehow the projector is not able to manage this well, but you noted that I have some financial interest, that I receive research grant support from Alcon Laboratories, so keep in mind when I say that. But this presentation has no financial interest, and I'm trying to address and try to bring 1, 2, 3 points only, that we need to understand like Raxis and everything, preoperative evaluation, and try to have a plan for each nucleus. Whatever you do that, the strategy has to be safe, effective, and predictable. And that predictability will come in extremes of cataract. The soft cataract, very soft I mean, or the dense. Middle one you are okay. But it is a soft and dense that you want to predict and tell your colleague that I'm going to do only this way and it will happen that way. That doesn't happen if you do not have a right understanding and right technique. So we want to make it more predictable. That's the thing. So okay, you can reproduce this time after time. So there are some examples I want to go through this, but whatever the density is, please remember the simple concepts that there are distinct phases or stages of the lens removal. Clear lens, cataractous lens, soft, hard, whatever. And depending upon your technique, you may have a 2-phase, 3-phase, whatever. And each phase has a different objective and therefore will demand a different phaco parameters on the screen. As Yogesh said, interrupted, burst, pulse, the flow rate, the vacuum, the bottle height. What we all are concentrating is on the output, the flow rate and vacuum. But very few of us actually give any bother to the bottle, which is hanged right from the beginning at a particular height and never changes. You start on a bottle which is hanged by your assistant, nobody knows what that height is, and that bottle remains there until the end of the surgery. I did it for many, many years. But input, fluid going into the eye, is equally important. You all worry about 20 cc flow rate, 25 cc in Venturi, 200 vacuum, 400 vacuum, but what about that input? So now with the newer technology, the input has become very important, and all of these needs to be kept in mind. Purely from a technique point of view, you understand that division is very important in dense cataract, but what decides the corneal clarity and inflammation is how you remove the divided fragments, and there are many, many tricks of division. Basically, it's a horizontal chop, vertical chop. There are 100 names given attached to each popular phacosurgeons. But I just want to show you here that in a classical Nagahara you have to go around the equator, but you can avoid going to the equator in many of these dense cataract by being as peripheral as you can safely and bring that up. If you go to the equator, it is more effective and more efficient, but if you are scared in the beginning when you transit, start going as peripheral as you can and then bring it to the center. This is not the true horizontal, but that works and it will allow you to build up a confidence, and particularly when you go to the small pupil, then you go around the equator and then bring it to the phaco tip. This is the most efficient way of dividing cataract. I never preached this for many, many years because of the safety it has an issue. Because as you could see here, and I've selected this only to prove this point, that sometimes it can be a blind procedure because you do not see the chopper. And even if you see the chopper, you're placing on the equator, and if the angle or ergonomics of the second port is not correct, it's not easy to introduced through the small rexes. You could stretch the rexes, and if that's not good, it can split. So it is a wonderful, very efficient technique, but be careful that you master it and go slow. So I don't have any preference now. I do both these techniques, but I have done it for years, this stop and chop variation, where you bury the tip, and notice that the foot pedal now comes to second position, from third to second, and then you do whatever the action you have. The horizontal, the vertical, and whatever else you have, doesn't matter. As long as it is holding on, vacuum seal is produced, and the preset vacuum is done, take your time in a step-by-step manner. Do not aim a total division at a one stroke. Whatever the technique or action of your phaco chop is, go break these forces into different steps so that you do not actually stress the bag or distort the bag. And these kind of things which was shown beautifully earlier, the rexes part. Even in a small rexes, the vertical chop has an advantage. I mean, you can imagine that to place a rex chopper right through this up to here could be quite distorting to this rexes. So I think vertical chop also has a value, horizontal is good. You decide what you want and have an option. You don't have one fixed thing. We think that a dense cataract is best dealt with this technique, but horizontal chop and whatever else, if you master it, it's not a big deal. But this is one other example that you should have a technique which is applicable in all kinds of things. And if you do not have that technique mastered in that particular environment, if you're not doing such a thing, otherwise you will find it difficult when you really need to do this. So try the phaco chop technique and master one, but have another plan 1 and plan 2 and plan 3, like many things. You may need another kind of action in a particular environment. So do that, but this is a vertical step-by-step technique, and then you can remove these fragments from that level on. But in a dense cataract, you really need to divide the bottom fibers. And the bottom fibers are the ones which are so leathery at times that whatever the technique, it doesn't work. So I propose here a technique which is I call multi-level. You divide and initiate a crack at one plane and then extend that crack by re-occluding at a different depth. This is in a vertical example, vertical chop. You can do the same in a horizontal Nagahara chop, where you go to the periphery and then initiate that crack and then remove the occlusion and come to the center and extend that crack you started and join it to the middle. So that way you can have a 2-level or more than 1 level of chop action, and that will prevent the distortion of the bag and too much excessive lateral separation. This is one example here, and you don't need to create a space if you don't want to do that. But I think a little space is a good idea, and then you go there. And notice that now the position is in the second, and then you initiate the crack, and I could have extended it, but this patient had a weak zonules from the injury it had, so I went back again. Notice that I re-occluded at the depth, and then placed the chopper into the depth so that with minimal force I could extend that. And the same way you continue at 2-level occlusion. Once again, I went into depth. So that sort of thing is sometimes useful in a dense cataract. But these are the cataracts now which are increasing, and today I have about 50% of my cases either this or minimal cataract, and patients are crazy asking for cataract surgery because their quality of life demands that. They don't want a glare, they don't want a slightest problem. They want perfection. And therefore we must understand. And that's where the reproducibility comes. And the good part is that whatever technique you have for soft cataract, eventually you will be able to remove the soft cataract. But the key is, can you do it same way every time a soft cataract, and can you establish a clearer cornea every time with minimal inflammation? Not always, because sometimes the lens prolapses into the anterior chamber, and then you have a problem with the endothelium. And some of them may not have the right quality of endothelium. So I suggest, and it works for a trainee, is that you do a 4-quadrant technique. Now the difference between the 4-quadrant technique, which some of us oldies learned earlier, is that the flow rate in vacuum was not understood well. Now notice that the flow rate here is only preset to 12 or 14. So it is so safe to go right up to the periphery. You don't need to go to this periphery, but I'm showing in a video to highlight that it's so safe that you can really work very well. And this is done by my fellow who is at the end of the 2 years. So you can anybody can do this technique, and then removing it is not a big issue. And once again, you can then remove it with whatever you have, but make sure that you take your time and be away from the endothelium. But this is one of these which is not soft, which is hard, and it's not easy to kind of chop sometimes. Sometimes its followability is not good because the lens fragments into small pieces. Use a low flow rate and just sufficient vacuum to produce that multiple fragments, and then you can remove that fragments. Divide as many small fragments as you can so that you can manage these fragments better. You keep this fragment away from the endothelium, and you can remove that. So here is that same case. I'm trying to remove in this little space there, but notice the brittleness of this cataract. These are not a one bulk. Some of the central one is denser, the peripheral is very soft, and there are some cortical capsularizations, and these patients, the rigidity in the younger patients like this is not very good. So you will see little fluctuation here in spite of this maintained IOP stuff. But notice that brittle cataracts I was alluding to. But with the awareness of taking it from the posterior plane, is possible. And this is where I was talking about the input and output, and this is the surge Yogesh alluded it. This is what you don't want. And this happens with the preset high vacuum, and if you produce 100% occlusion, you will always get it. So avoid total occlusion at stage of fragment removal. You want that total occlusion when chopped, because you wanted highest vacuum, but in a fragment removal, you do not want a total occlusion, because then your vacuum preset is too high, and then you will produce surge. So when you remove the fragment, make sure that your tip is not occluded completely. There is always some continuous flow. So preset low vacuum, gradual break, and avoid complete occlusion. And this kind of high-speed photography, which my colleague Samresh Srivastava made it for me, shows how this technology allows us to remove this fragment, keeping it at the same tip. It won't fly away. And the second instrument is just standing still. It's not helping. Sometimes you need to take it away. If you're producing 100% occlusion with the left hand, push that fragment away and then start again. But with these technologies, which some of the machines have, it's very easy to produce that total followability scenario, and without any chatter or surge, it's very easy to remove that with very standstill instrument. You don't need to chase these things very much. But what has been realized now, that when you remove the nucleus, what's happening to the IOP? And you can see that the IOP is typically, when we operate, is around 80 millimeter of mercury. It ranges from 70 to 90 or 100 depending upon the bottle height. If your bottle height is 100, it would go to 80 plus, and if it's 110, it will reach 100 millimeter of mercury, versus a low flow rate and low bottle height, the IOP will be less than 60, and the fluctuation will be minimal. So we need to understand this, or keep in mind, and that's what the newer machines have brought it. But finally, keep the iris as your vision, because that's the only thing you can see. So try to keep the phaco tip below the iris plane, what I call posterior plane, and also the fragments along with it. So this is what you don't want. You may take a very little time, and your phaco time may be short, but endothelium will be affected. So try to keep a gap. Be conscious of the plane with which you remove, because that is the one which is going to decide the inflammation and so on. So low power, low flow rate, and slow motion technique, which Dr. Austin and others have done, or which Dr. Shettle at my place helped me to develop this technique, where as more and more posterior capsule get exposed, you reduce your every parameters, the bottle height, the the energy, the flow rate, the vacuum step down on your parameter as more and more posterior capsule get exposed, because with that you can keep the tip away from the endothelium. Otherwise, if you keep the same high flow rate and vacuum, you subconsciously or intentionally bring the tip toward the cornea, and therefore it will show the Descemet folds next day. So keep the tip away from the cornea even if you're removing the last fragment, rather than and change the parameters rather than keeping the same. So finally, go slow, use these techniques, or whatever techniques appeals to you, whatever the chop action, but take your time and understand input and output, and you remove these different kinds of cataracts. So thank you.